Alex Kate, and I am Just a Guy Cooking. Welcome to our very first show. Today we're going to be preparing roast beef po' boys, New Orleans style. So why don't we head on over and get started. Alright, so here we are, and the first thing we've got is a nice chuck roast we're going to use. And what you want to do is you want to season the chuck roast first. Now I'm just going to do some basic salt and pepper, but you want to season it well. I think a lot of people under-season. So we're going to do each side. Flip it over, and then do it again. Now I season heavily. I like a lot of spice and a lot of herb in my cooking. So you can do that according to your taste. Then we're going to lightly flour the entire thing. So, because our first step is to brown it. So we're going to take a little bit of flour. And don't worry about being messy. Those professional shows, they have ways of making it all nice and neat, but that's not reality. We're in reality here. You know, the nice thing about, one of the things I like about this particular dish is I actually learned right here at the stove how to prepare meat this way from my mother. She was born and raised in New Orleans, and you know, there's a specific taste to po' boys that come from New Orleans that you can't get anywhere else, no matter what a menu at any restaurant says. I've never met a po' boy anywhere but in New Orleans that tasted like a New Orleans po' boy. So that's all floured. So anyway, my mom actually, I never could quite get the meat right. I couldn't get the taste right, the flavor right. So my mom actually showed me right here at the stove one time how to do it. So this kind of means a lot to me. Brings back a lot of memories from my childhood. So, what we're going to do is we're going to brown the meat. So we're going to take about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And one of the things I've learned to start doing, because I'm never going to cut back on my food the way I like to eat, but I do measure now, as opposed to just dumping a bunch in. That's my way of cutting back, I suppose. That's the rationalization I'm going for, at least. So we're going to let that heat up, and as soon as that oil is hot, then we're going to you want your oil to be hot, but if it gets too hot, you're going to blacken the outside, which would not be the best way to do it. So just stick it in there. And like I said, we're just browning the outside to get it started. One day I'll have a kitchen where the sink and the counter and the stove are all like next to each other, so I don't have people walking over there all the time. So, and I'm gonna reach over here and get a knife. Ooh.
Close up.
Yeah, Mr. DeMille. So while that's browning, I'm going to get my vegetables. Normally I just use onion, that's what my mom used, but I thought, well, for today, I'm going to add a little carrot and a little celery, just for a little bit of extra flavor, because when it's done cooking, we'll use the juices and all that to make a gravy. So, and I got a brand new kitchen toy for Christmas that I'm going to use for the first time today. So, it's going to be fabulous or it's going to be a disaster. We just don't know, which is the exciting part about cooking. At least for me, that is the exciting part about cooking. I don't, you know, I'll do some research if I'm trying to learn something new. But I really pretty much just wing it. It's a creative process for me, and once you know how to do a few things, you can sort of expand out. Like this way of preparing meat, I use this method for a lot of different kinds of things. It's sort of a basic starter for me.
So, do you want to talk about mincing the onion and not crying?
I'm not crying, am I? It must not be a strong onion. I got lucky, that's all. Because sometimes I do cry. And then I do the old trick where you run your wrist under cold water, and then it keeps your tears from falling. Or sometimes I just let myself cry, because everybody needs a good cry every once in a while. Okay, so like I said, we're just going to lightly brown that. Now I'm preparing this the old school way, which actually takes probably a couple hours or so. Not that I'm going to be standing here for a couple hours talking to you. We're going to edit that part out. But there's a lot of different ways of doing this. You could put this in a crock pot. You can use a pressure cooker, which would cut the time in half if you have one of those. I don't. I'm kind of a guy who loves tradition, so if I learn how to do something a certain way, I usually stick to it. So just 1 onion, 1 carrot, that's all, just for a little bit of flavor. And I'm also not a fancy chef or anything like that. I don't do any fancy cutting or anything like that, because you don't have to. I mean, you do if you're charging like $75 for a meal, but if you're just cooking at home, it doesn't matter. And the carrots, I've never really done the research, but I heard that most of the vitamins and stuff on the outside, so I actually don't peel my carrots. I just use a vegetable scrubber to clean them. And if company's coming over, I might, just because sometimes people get a little freaked out if there's a little bit of brown or something. So I'll do that for company. Just for me and for Michael, my partner, we eat the whole damn thing. So we're just, like I said, lightly browning it. And you want to kind of brown it on all sides if you can, which gets a little tricky. Sort of want to balance your meat. There's a joke in there somewhere, but maybe not for the first episode. I think that's one of the fun things that I'm hoping will happen with this show is as I get more comfortable and we start doing more shows, I'm kind of the person that believes you should talk about whatever you want to talk about and say whatever you want to say. I've been known to, I kind of like to think I'll say the things that everybody else is thinking. So one of the things about being in the kitchen and cooking and breaking bread and the whole idea of eating is it gives you an opportunity to build relationships, build community. That's one of the things I love about food and about cooking. It's actually one of my favorite things is to cook for other people. And you know, I have friends that we take turns cooking for each other once a month. I do a big Thanksgiving dinner every year for friends. And it's pretty amazing. Dean's one of them. He just went, I like this. Dean, you can talk. They can hear you. It's all right. Dean comes every year for Thanksgiving. So I'm kind of hoping that as this show evolves, we'll get to cook, we'll get to play, we'll get to do some good food, and maybe we'll get to talk about some stuff that we aren't supposed to talk about. You know? So, because I believe the problem with talking about sensitive subjects isn't the subject itself. I think it's the way we talk to each other, you know? And social media really hasn't helped that much because I think people have just sort of given themselves permissions to be assholes, to tell you the truth. There's something safe in writing whatever vitriolic, nasty thing you want to write.
And hiding.
And hiding behind your computer screen. I just wonder how brave. Well, actually, I don't wonder that anymore. I was going to say I wonder how brave people would be face to face, but they seem to be getting braver and braver, and stupider, and meaner and meaner. So hopefully we'll talk about things from time to time that we're not supposed to talk about, and maybe have a little bit of fun. Maybe look at things from a different perspective. All right, so. My meat is browning nicely. It smells so good.
Yes.
I don't know. Hot beef in oil. This is just, I don't know how good it is for you. I'm pretty sure it's not very, but it sure is good for the soul. Okay, so we have it lightly browned on all sides. Can you see that, Dean?
Let me see.
Move the camera.
Bring her up. Bring her up.
Bring it up.
There
so
we
we got it
go.
lightly browned on all sides.
Here, wait, let me get a close up.
Well, I'm going to lay it right here, so. There you go. So we got it lightly brown on all sides.
This way, not this way. Right there.
Right there?
Oh, that looks great.
Good.
Yeah.
So being our first show, Dean and I are both learning how to do all this together, so. So what I'm going to do is, right here in the pot, can you see that, Dean?
Oh.
So right here in the pot is the leftover oil and a little bit of the beef juice. So I'm going to put my onions, celery, and carrots right in here. And just let this saute for a little bit. And one thing I forgot the garlic. So let me go get the garlic. So I just chop my garlic pretty fine. in honor of my dad. I just thought of somebody biting into big hunk of garlic. I don't mind so much, especially after it's cooked. For me, it loses its strident flavor. It's not quite as harsh.
Very aromatic.
Yes, it is.
Smells great.
Thank you. It does. This is another one thing. Sauteing onions just makes you feel better. Just makes it smell so good in the house. So now we're just lightly sauteed. We're not going to cook these. Just lightly saute them a little bit because they're going to cook over time with the meat. So let me get a little bit of water. Pardon my reach.
We need to get the crew to lay your stuff out for you first.
I know. Well, actually, we don't have a crew. I am the crew, and I work on Monday nights. And I am adding a little more salt, a little pepper, and I'm also going to put a little bit of thyme in this. So I'm self-employed. I host karaoke shows. That's what, pays the bills. And I actually work Monday nights and we're filming on a Tuesday. So I was actually out till about 3 or 4 in the morning. So yeah, the crew, me, did not get everything planned accordingly. So, but that's okay. If there's anything I've learned, it's not about perfection. If you're trying to be perfect all the time, you're missing out on an awful lot of fun. And I don't think you get to laugh at yourself nearly as much as we should laugh at ourselves. Oh, this looks so beautiful. Little sauteed vegetables. So just a little bit of water, just about a half a cup of water is all I have, because we're going to cover this, and the juices from the meat and the steam, it's going to keep it the liquid going. We don't have to worry about it evaporating. So I just put the meat in there. I cover it. Keep it on a medium-low fire. Now I go do something else while this cooks. About every 20-25 minutes or so, I'll come in, I'll turn the meat over, and just keep checking it to see how it's doing. And once it's nice and tender and cooked all the way through, then we'll put our po' boys together. See you in a little bit. It's actually good. It's really tender. It's not really tender yet, it's got always cooked.
Oh, it looks delicious. Yeah. Talk to me.
Okay, so the meat's been cooking for about an hour or so now. So as you can see, it's still got some more to go. It's getting more and more tender, but it's still not quite where I want it to be.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, better.
It's still not quite where I want it to be, but it's looking really lovely, isn't it? And that gravy looking nice.
Lovely.
So, but what I'm doing, I was cooking a little bit about too high of a fire, and we need to add a little bit more liquid because there's just not enough gravy. So, it's going to add about another half a cup. Just swish it around a little bit. And cover it back up and go back to cooking. So I had it just a little bit above medium on the temperature, and now I've put it to a straight medium temperature. Just turned it down just a little bit. So, all right, we'll be back later. All right, we are back. Dean and I have been solving the world's problems while the meat was cooking, and it is done. It is done. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? It smells wonderful, and how do I know it's done? Because it's very, very tender when I put the fork in it. So, alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the meat out and put it on the cutting board to let it rest for a little bit. And I'm going to turn the fire down because I don't really want the gravy to keep cooking, I just want to keep it warm. So keep it on a low fire. And I told you about my new kitchen gadget that I just got. It's this little, it's a smart stick. So basically it will puree things without having to put it in a blender. Normally I use my blender all the time. So...
Oh, I was going to say, do you want to like show it?
I am, but I've never used it before, so this is like a brand new thing, so I'm telling you. So what we're going to do is we're going to tilt the pot away from us a little bit. And let's start low. And we're just going to mash this up together.
Can you
need it this way?
Yeah. Oh, that's way good. Whoa, yeah.
Well, now you can see.
That's great.
And you might think this did make an awful lot of gravy, but you don't necessarily need a lot because we're making sandwiches. So you just need a little bit of gravy on the sandwich. Look how beautiful it's coming out. The meat is ready because it's very tender. Okay, so now we're all sliced up. Now, you want to unplug your knife before you take it off. Electric knives are really funny. I wouldn't use one for the longest time because my mom cut her finger almost all the way to the bone with one, taking it apart. So I don't think about that whenever I take it off. I'm always very, very careful. So, because these blades are very, very, very sharp. So I'll lay that right there. And, oh my goodness, our gravy, look at this gravy. After it's all blended together. Now remember, the carrots and the celery and the onion and the garlic are all in here with salt, pepper, and thyme. It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well I'm very excited because now the best part's about to happen. We get to eat. So, I'm gonna look in the oven, see if the bread's warm. It's like, oh my gosh, it smells so good and it's crispy. You can actually, you probably can't hear it, but it's warm all the way through. It doesn't take long. A 200-degree oven for just a few minutes. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it long ways. Hear that crispy sound? Doesn't that sound good?
Yes.
It's going to be nice and hard on the outside and nice and soft on the inside, which is exactly what you want. And then we're going to get a little bit of mayonnaise on here. It was funny, mayonnaise or Miracle Whip, I hated it as a kid. I find the older I get, the more things I like. So.
Your horizons are broadening.
Yeah, or my taste buds are dying. One or the other, I think. It's one or the other.
As are my hips.
Oh, but Dean, it's 2015.
Right.
It's a new year.
That's right.
So, you'll get new hips. We live in Los Angeles. I'm sure you could go buy yourself a pair for the right price. So then we're just going to do a layer of meat. It doesn't have to be a thick layer. The meat's not that thinly sliced, so just get yourself. Because it's one of those things you actually want to be able to. I don't like eating a sandwich that I can't actually put my mouth around. So, and then I've got some tomatoes already sliced here. Actually, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to put the lettuce on first. See, I can change my mind. Do a little lettuce. Now, of course, in my family, it would have been iceberg lettuce. I have graduated to real lettuces. Not that iceberg isn't a real lettuce for you iceberg lovers. This is going to be strange for some people that aren't used to this, is you actually put the gravy right on the sandwich. And this is not an open-faced sandwich. So you just take this, like, oh my goodness. Oops, I just blocked it. Can you see that?
Yes.
I just realized I had the pot in front of it. Doesn't it look good? Oh.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. Alright. Then, you just do it like that. Boom. put it all together. I need a bigger plate. I'm gonna cut it in half here. Oh, it's so messy and it's so good.
That's the good ones.
It is a good one. Oh my God, it tastes so good. So there you go. There's your roast beef and gravy po' boy for New Orleans. One of the things I always remember hearing as a kid is if it's not running down your arm, it doesn't taste good. So with these sandwiches particularly. So you just have the gravy and everything on it. Let's take a bite, see what it tastes like. Oh my God. Oh my God. I need a napkin. It was so good. You actually have so much flavor going on because you've got the fresh lettuce and the tomatoes. You have the fresh lettuce and the tomatoes, so you have that crisp, fresh taste. The beef is very, very tender. It just melts. You get all that great flavor. The gravy's there, the bread. Then you get a little bit of the mayonnaise and the mustard. All of those flavors together. It's just an amazing sandwich. And really pretty easy to do. So anyway, thank you for watching my very first show. I hope you try and make yourself some roast beef po' boys. And I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and we will see you next time. Thanks a lot.